So, one of the ideas that I spoke about in the book Heroic Leadership, I spoke about four um, cultural qualities, themes, pillars was a word in the book that were characteristic of Jesuit culture, Jesuit leadership style, as I understood it. And one of those is love. The idea that you have to respect people's dignity and their potential and try to unlock their potential, as being very important to being successful. And, when I use that idea, I'm not intending it in a very soft, mushy kind of a way, but, think, for example, those who look at these surveys in terms of corporate environments, organizational environments, and I would know best the corporate environment, and only about half of people ever say they're happy in their work, and I've seen a survey that 40% of people say they don't even trust their own senior manager. So look, I mean, if this is the environment, obviously people are not performing to maximum productivity. So my point in talking about a concept of love has to do, I think there's ultimately a bottom line connection. We have to create environments in which people are going to feel that they can operate at maximum productivity, and that has something to do with feeling comfortable, feeling supported, feeling like you have opportunities, feeling challenged, all those kind of things. Now, a dilemma kind of comes up when we say, okay, look, that's great, but then, how do you square firing with love, all these kinds of things. And I don't want to wish that away or make it easier than it is. I mean, we live in this isn't heaven and we aren't angels, as the saying goes, so humanness brings along with it all kinds of complications and problems. But here is one of the things that I would say, that one of the ways that this medieval Catholic philosopher Thomas Aquinas, who's still in a way a kind of a role, a kind of a benchmark, or his thought is still within Catholic seminaries. People would study Thomas Aquinas a lot, so he's not this irrelevant old figure. And the way he defines love, if I remember it correctly, is something like this: that love is to will the good of another. In other words, to want what is good for another person. And I have found that a helpful way of framing the whole conversation of how do we end up doing difficult things like firing people and demoting people and bypassing people and so on. Because, if we're in a company, we're in a school, we're in an organization, there are a lot of people who are involved in this community. And if we love them, we will the good. We want the good for all of them. So that would mean we want that our customers be well served, or our students learn well, that members of a team do their fair share of work and not a burdensome amount of work, and that people who are shareholders or stakeholders or paying for our service, or parents, whatever it may be, that they're also getting what's just, what they deserve, what they pay for. And if somebody or a group of people are not performing in ways that everybody else in the community is well served, then that's not a loving outcome, broadly understood. So what do we owe you? You're not getting your job done. Okay, I owe you, I think, that you understand that well, clearly, in a supportive way, that you have a chance to get yourself on track, and that we're going to give you a little support, a little coaching to do that. And in big companies, often none of those things happen, right? We kind of overlook problems until they're crises, and then you go home and we treat you like an animal. So what we owe is those first whole set of things in terms of the way you're treated. But then, it conceptually doesn't bother me that at a certain point we say, look, it's ultimately not the best for you to be in a position where you're not performing according to whatever gifts you have. They're not to do this. And where the other stakeholders in this community are not being well served. um, that theoretically is fine, you know, but at the so theoretically I have no trouble justifying that we, you know, end up having to make very hard decisions sometimes about people. But, you know, having said that, life is never theoretical, and there are always human beings involved, and these are very painful, awful things often, and to me that also is part of being a kind of a loving boss or manager, you know, that's not just, okay, here are 3 line items in my budget that I'm eliminating, the same way that, you know, I'm going to buy less pencils and postpone buying a computer, but I kind of am willing to suffer the pain that I know this guy has 3 kids, or, you know, I know this woman's husband is sick. I mean, that I am going to suffer along and not kind of pretend that this is not another human being involved here.